Hi guys, it's Betsy with Keto Creations. Today we're going to learn how to make a sugar-free pecan pie. This is my first video, so stick with me. I'm sure I will look like an idiot, but that's okay. Alright, so first thing we need to do is gather our ingredients, and for this particular one, for the crust, we're going to need almond flour, and I prefer powdered swerve for this so it doesn't get crunchy. We'll need some butter and some salt. So let's gather those things, and also for the filling on the pecan pie we'll need more butter, more almond flour. We'll need no almond flour. See, told you I'd look like an idiot. Here we are. So what we will need is some Swerve brown, so brown sugar substitute. I use Swerve. You can use whatever you want. Boca Sweet or allulose, because allulose and Boca Sweet make things gooey, and Swerve makes things crispier. So I'm going to put you down here so you can see inside the bowl and see what we're doing, and that way you'll know how to do it for yourself. Okay, here we go. So we need a cup and a half of almond flour. I like to tilt it like that so that it's not firmly packed, because just like with regular flour, that can affect the texture and dryness of your baked good. So there's our almond flour. Now we need a quarter of a cup of Swerve. And again, like I said, I like the powdered for this just because it mixes better, makes a smoother crust. I like it. Okay, so I'm going to whisk this up like this so we mix those dry ingredients together. And I need a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. So, quarter of a teaspoon of salt going in. Give it a little mix. Now I'm going to put in the butter. I like to use a little spatula. And then I'm going to need a fork for this. Mix this with a fork. Kind of like you would a graham cracker crust. Same kind of idea. Is kind of just smash the butter and the almond flour and sweetener together until you have a uniformed amount of like crumbs like this. You see how it's kind of crumbs? That's what you want. So now take this pie crust, just going to give it a little spray with some olive oil, and that way hopefully it'll come out a little easier. So I'm going to dump that right in there. Now just move it off to the edges a little bit so I have some on the edge to bring up the side of the pie pan. Let's get it in the bottom. And really, I find my fingers work the best for this, because when you try to, like, say, use the back of your measuring cup, it sticks. But for whatever reason, it really doesn't stick to your fingers too much. As you can see now, I'm just going around and pushing this into the pan. Alright, so I need 320. I'm going to kind of pre-bake this pie for 10 minutes. And since I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put a few holes in it just so that it doesn't puff up. So, we're going to put a few holes around the outside edge. That way, it won't peel away from the side. It'll stay put and not puff up. And okay. There we go. Okay, so now that our crust is baked, we're letting it cool, and while I'm letting it cool, I'm going to go ahead and add that stick and a half of butter into my pan. We're going to melt the butter and the sugar together, just like you would for a regular pie. Alright then, now butter, let's put that on medium heat, and we're going to let that melt. So let's go ahead and get our sweeteners in there. So we need half a cup each of the Swerve brown. I don't pack this super tight like you would regular brown sugar. I'm just gonna, right in there. And then some allulose or Boca Sweet. I have allulose, so that's the one I'm gonna use. And again, the reason for that is those sweeteners stay gooey once melted. And for a pecan pie, you want it to be gooey. Once it's melted, then we will add vanilla and salt and whisk that in, and then let it cool just a little bit and add the eggs. You don't want to add it when it's too hot because it'll cook them, and then you have scrambled eggs inside your pecan pie filling, and that is not a thing you want. So I've learned a lot over the years through trial and error, and it costs a fortune every time you mess something up. and you throw it away. So it's really frustrating. So I thought, since I've learned a bunch of things about how to work with keto products, that I could show you. Okay, so our butter's just about melted, so we're going to add in our salt and our vanilla. That's a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I don't know why I'm measuring it. I never measure vanilla. Well, they say measure with your heart. Well, that's how I do vanilla. But you have to be careful with keto bacon because it is absolutely different. So it can be very, very precise. So some things you have to be super precise with. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. We're going to let this just cool for a minute. And then we're going to add our eggs in there. Now I think I might go ahead and just give these a little mix. A little. Let's see. Just going to give them a little mix around. Nothing too crazy in there. I don't have to be super whisked. Just a little. And like I said, we'll give that a minute. Okay, so I'm going to whisk this in. Okay, see? Good. Now I'm going to move us back to the other side. So hang it. Okay, so now we can put the pecans into our cooled crust. That's 1.5 cups. So we'll just put the 1.5 cups of pecans right down in here. And for this part, you don't have to be super precise. I mean, you'd like to be close though, because otherwise your macros are going to be messed up. So that's 1.5 cups-ish. I'm going to spread them around a little bit like that. So we have pecans all over the pie. Then I'm going to pour this guy in here. Go ahead and give another mix, make sure we're good and mixed up. Seems like it. Okay, so the pie is ready to go in the oven. And we will bake it. I am going to put this on mine. You're welcome to use foil or something, but I prefer to keep the edge from getting overdone. Okay? And this does not concern me. It'll mix right back in there. That's just where I poured it. So I'll give it a little push just to make sure we don't have an empty space with no pecans. That would suck. Okay, so you're going to bake this 45 minutes or so. Keep in mind it's baking, so you got to check it. Check it a little early. Bake it longer if you need to. What you want is you want it to be mostly set, basically. I mean, it's going to jiggle a little bit, just like a regular pecan pie will. So, at 325, you're going to bake it for 45 minutes is where I'm going to start. I'm going to start at 40, probably. Check it there, and then adjust as needed. Okay? We'll check the finished product when it comes out. Okay guys, the pie is out of the oven and I'll show it to you. It looks like this. See? It's really just like a sugar-filled pecan pie. So, I promise you're going to love it. Do yourself a favor. Make that.